Hi everyone, it's me Lubna. Today is Thursday, October 24th, 2024. This video is dedicated to my beloved, and the topic of this video is going to be about the constant battle between the higher self and the lower self, and about how this battle manifests in every aspect of our lives. So in relation to that topic, I wanted to share a passage from this book which I finished reading about a week and a half ago, The Road Less Traveled, A New Psychology of Love, Traditional Values, and Spiritual Growth by the psychiatrist M. Scott Peck, MD. And I've already made several videos related to passages from this book, but I still have more to say about what I learned from this book, so I thought I would make another video about it today. And the passage that I wanted to share today is from the section titled Entropy and Original Sin. And I'll show the passage to you in case you would like to read it on your own. So I'll be reading aloud the last paragraph on that page, which goes on to the next page. And here it goes. We all have a sick self and a healthy self. No matter how neurotic or even psychotic we may be, even if we seem to be totally fearful and completely rigid, there is still a part of us, however small, that wants us to grow, that likes change and development, that is attracted to the new and the unknown, and that is willing to do the work and take the risks involved in spiritual evolution. And no matter how seemingly healthy and spiritually evolved we are, there is still a part of us, however small, that does not want us to exert ourselves, that clings to the old and familiar, fearful of any change or effort, desiring comfort at any cost and absence of pain at any price, even if the penalty be ineffectiveness, stagnation, or regression. In some of us, our healthy self seems pathetically small, wholly dominated by the laziness and fearfulness of our monumental sick self. Others of us may be rapidly growing, our dominant healthy self reaching eagerly upward in the struggle to evolve toward godhood. The healthy self, however, must always be vigilant against the laziness of the sick self that still lurks within us. In this one respect, we human beings are all equal. Within each and every one of us, there are two selves, one sick and one healthy, the life urge and the death urge, if you will. Each of us represents the whole human race. Within each of us is the instinct for godhood and the hope for mankind, and within each of us is the original sin of laziness, the ever-present force of entropy, pushing us back to childhood, to the womb, and to the swamps from which we have evolved. So that is the passage that I wanted to share with you today. And in that passage, Dr. Peck talks about it in terms of the sick self and the healthy self. And he talks about it in terms of change, namely spiritual change and inner change. And we all have this healthy self and sick self within us. The sick self within us is the part of ourselves that resists change and doesn't want to learn and grow from our mistakes, whereas the healthy self is the one that is mature and wants to grow and wants to change and wants to become better. And all the time, no matter how old we get and no matter how experienced we grow in life, we will always have this sick self and healthy self within us, or this lower self and higher self within us. And they'll always be in battle with each other. And we might see this in our daily lives, like when it comes to controlling our appetites. And there are many aspects of our daily lives in which it is important for us to learn how to control our appetites. And the most basic example of that is eating. Like, we can eat in such a way that we are going to fill ourselves until we're sick, or we can control ourselves and allow our mind to govern our body. And we can eat conscientiously and decide what is best to eat and all of these things, or we can decide to just gluttonously eat whatever we want and not really put our minds into it or be mindful while we're eating. So you see, there's this animalistic way of doing things versus this higher and more civilized way of doing things. And everything that involves our appetite can be either involving the lower self or the higher self. We can either practice our lower self or our higher self in everything we do that involves our appetites. And I think it's very important for us to learn how to let our mind govern our body instead of allowing our body to govern itself. And this is related to the concept of discipline. If we're not disciplined and if we don't govern our bodies using our minds and our brains and our thoughts, then we're going to end up getting very sick and our bodies will end up in a bad situation, because by nature human beings tend to be lazy, as he said in that passage. He said that is our tendency. And if you know science, you know the term entropy, which is the tendency for everything to go toward disorganization. And when it comes to human behavior, the tendency for people to be lazy or not work hard to control themselves. So in essence, it is very important for us to learn how to use our minds to govern our bodies and to use our minds to govern our natural impulses. Because if we don't do that, then we won't reach higher levels of spiritual growth and thought, and we won't evolve. And I know that it's hard to do that, and like he said, the sick self versus the healthy self. We have this part of us that is comfortable being lazy and not wanting to work hard and not wanting to be mindful when we do things. And then we have this other healthy self, which is willing to grow and expand within. And however difficult it might be, this difficulty will never end until the day we die. We'll always have this battle between the sick self and the healthy self, the lower self and the higher self. So it's always going to be a continual practice of self-discipline, and that is a habit that I've learned over time to develop myself, and I'm still learning. And in fact, the more I develop it, the more I feel like it's harder to practice it, because the more I become aware of my own imperfections in being disciplined in the smallest ways in my daily life. So I hope that with my video today, you've learned something about the battle between the lower self and the higher self, and why it is important for us to learn to use our higher self to govern our lower self and to use our minds to govern our bodies if we want to get far internally in terms of our spiritual growth. And with that, as always, I hope that you've learned something very valuable and will use it in your daily life today and every day. And with that, I'd like to wish you a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, or whatever it is, wherever you are in the world.